let's talk about nature. It's funny, as I'm doing these videos, I wrote this book a year ago. Actually, a year ago, probably to the week that I'm doing these videos. So it's an interesting journey because in the book, a lot of these topics are only 2 to 3 pages long, just enough to point you in the direction of raising your vibration. But now I'm doing 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes on these videos, and this section is on nature. I don't know how long this one's going to be, probably 20 to 30 minutes, but the idea is there's so much more to talk about. There's so much more that I can explain in this format very easily, especially as I channel and guides tell me to talk about different things. Nature is very important. We're in a society, at least in the US and other countries who are more technologically modern in a sense, where we've shifted out of nature and we live in our homes. We sit in our homes, we sit in offices. Some people, the only nature they see, the only air they get is the walk from their house to their car to get gas to the office building and back. That's it. They go home, they sit in their chair, they watch TV, they work inside the house, they play video games. They don't breathe fresh air. Fresh air is extremely important in raising your vibration. Extremely important. It boosts your system. It's energy. It's fresh energy. It's not just fresh air, it's fresh energy from outside that fuels you. Getting into nature is important for that effect. The sun, which I'll talk about more in a different video because that's a topic of its own. The sun is important. To get that sunlight on your skin, to boost your vitamin D, to boost your other levels. Previously, I've talked about one of the only supplements I've ever taken is vitamin D, and it's something I take now in the winter occasionally. The reason I don't have to as much anymore, sunlight. I make sure I take walks. I make sure my skin's exposed. It even tells me at times, lift your hands up, put your palms out so you can absorb me. Sunlight, it boosts us out of depression. It lifts us up, but you have to go into nature. Windows filter sunlight. Some people will be like, well, I get it through the window. The window filters the sunlight, filters a lot of the light out. It's not true sunlight when you have a piece of glass in front of you. It's filtered depending on what type of glass you have, what's in it, how many panes is it, all that sort of thing. Going out into nature is important because if you're saying you want to connect to spirit, nature is full of spirits. That's the thing that we've lost connection with in the US and probably a lot of other countries. You have to go into nature to experience a lot of these spirits. If you're sitting in your chair watching TV, binging Netflix, playing video games, even if you're just reading books, you can't experience spirit if you're just sitting there. You have to go outside. Even in the winter, just go outside and take a walk. There's an area a half hour from my house that when I do a walk, I'm walking residential parts of my town normally because of the sidewalks. They're clear of snow. It's easy. So I don't go to some of the natural places because it's easier for me to just walk the sidewalks. But I'm still outside breathing fresh air, getting sunlight, talking to spirit. And there's an area that's full of life, full of fairies up in the trees, waiting for the spring to come, full of birds. But you can't get that if you don't go outside. Even if I go outside here of my apartment building, there's not a whole lot out here. There's a beautiful lilac spirit right here. And I've built connections with the natural community where last night, Brianna of the Trees, who's a nature spirit, came and walked in, teleported, astral traveled, however it works for them, came in because she felt me talking about her to somebody. So a nature spirit came through and met with me, because I've built a relationship just by walking the neighborhood and doing other things, grading light, doing other things that I'll talk about in future courses. But the idea is getting out into nature. When I needed help, when I needed protective help in a situation, Sasquatches did a ritual and sent me a tulpa of Sasquatch energy to help protect me. But I had to go out to meet them. I found them down by a river. And I built a relationship with them by going to the river constantly, every day one summer, over the winter. And I built a relationship with them. I built a relationship with the river spirits, with the faeries. I went into nature. In nature will heal you. You will get healings just by being there. The fresh air is healing. The sunlight is healing. People forget a lot of the jobs assigned to the incarnations, in a sense, of beings of other realms are to be healers. So if you go into nature and you just sit there and meditate and ask the universe for help, ask the universe for healing, a lot of times they'll bring it to you, especially if you're building a relationship, if you're making offerings, if you're working with them. They'll come to help you, and they'll make themselves known if you're making your presence known to them and being grateful to them. So going into nature doesn't just mean going and sitting on a bench on a paved pathway. It is a very easy, good way to get into the natural area, but it's still traveled heavily in most cases. Now, some people aren't able to go off the trail, and I understand that, so you do what you can, because it'll come to you if you ask it to. But if you can, don't stay on the path. Go down the little trail that weaves through the woods, that takes you into the depths of the forest. The most magical things you'll find, the most magical beings you will meet, will not be on the trail. They'll be away from it, because most of them don't like humans or trust them because of what we've done, especially the Fae realm. And they also don't want to be seen or scare people or those sorts of things. The Sasquatches I found down by the river had blocked a path with trees. They blocked it so they could sit off in the distance and keep people out of this marshy area. Doesn't mean people kept out, but as Hito says, you'd be surprised how a fallen tree or a few fallen trees across a path turns people the other way. But you can't meet them if you don't go out there. And the whole point of this is raising your vibration. When you go into nature, you're raising your vibration by being in the natural world. You're not in a house, especially if you're in a low vibrational house. Low vibrational people, friends, family around you. You get out into those higher vibrations. And when you step off the path, you get out in even higher vibrations and higher vibrational beings who are staying away from humans, essentially. And you surround yourself with that, so your body slowly, as you're working with nature, has to start matching. And you start seeing things out of the corner of your eye. You start hearing thoughts. You start feeling better, more energized, more creative, more motivated. It's because of the energy of the natural realm. And you might even find yourself connecting to those other realms. Fae, other beings, you might see ETs around, interdimensionals, and other things. But you have to go into nature. And you have to be willing to walk off the path. To walk off the path to find the things that nobody else is seeing. To take your shoes off Or if you want to leave them on, leave them on. And do what I do. Walk into the river, wade into the river, provided it's a safe river to wade through. Wade into the river and let the river heal you. You know, this summer, before things shifted, I was going down to the river, speaking my affirmations and doing water magic, which is actually something I now recognize that I need to do a course on. Doing water magic to bring energy and manifest and do things while healing myself, refreshing myself, laying in the river. For as many people as I've seen go up and down, up and down, up and down, fishermen, etc., people walking and running down the trails, I've only seen one or two people actually in the river, actually laying down. I go to the rapids, I sit in the rapids. And I had a being watch me, a little gnome watch me for a while. Whiskers, I think. I'd have to look at my journals. It's been a while since I've met him. And Fae tend to have a lot of names that can be similar at times, like Short Stack or Longbeard, Whistler, Whiskers, all that sort of thing. But I think his name was Whiskers, and he was a gnome sitting off. I'd make offerings by the river, and he just watched me curiously. And the more I went, the more I built a relationship with the river and the spirits. The more I healed, the more energy I had, the more I experienced. I experienced things that people probably don't even know are down there. You know, I've been feet away from a fox who was fine with me being there. I've watched down by that river. I've watched the beavers that people probably don't even know exist down there because they hide, and they hide down by a place where the path doesn't go. All sorts of animals, all sorts of spirits. And that's how, if you've read my books about experiences where I go through different things, that's how I've sat by trees, in the trees, connecting to a tree, in the tree telling me, if you sit here for 5-10 minutes, I will bring you magic. And that's happened. I've experienced magic by building relationships with nature and the trees. And they've healed me. They've helped me. They've been my friends. I've spoken my traumas to them, which is a very healing and way of raising your vibration. Going into the woods, crying, speaking your trauma. That's how a Sasquatch found me when I was a kid. I was in the woods crying. I don't remember this. This is what they tell me. In the woods crying, and I see flashes of me just like with my hands, my face in my hands, in the Sasquatch sitting off in the distance. And when I realized I had been meeting a Sasquatch in the woods, not knowing it when I was a child, and if I did see them, I just don't remember it. But when they showed me that, I was like, oh, I was going out, and they were trying to help me. You know, and I was doing that because of traumas from my family. But when we go into nature, we meet these beings. We can release our traumas, and they'll help us. They'll listen to us. They'll transmute energy for us. And not only transmute energy, but they'll work with us and allow us to see them when we're ready. You might find yourself going into nature and then suddenly having dreams of these beings. The dreams are conscious communications. But working in that space, especially with solitude, a lot of people don't want to be in solitude. They want to have a social life and be surrounded with sound and distracted and all this. Solitude is extremely important in realizing who you are authentically, not just releasing your traumas and realizing what traumas you have and what traumas you've done, but to realize, who are you authentically? Who is your authentic self? Are you doing what you want to do? Are you living the life you want to live? Are you happy with your life? You need that solitude, and nature is that solitude. Even though you're surrounded by other beings, it's that solitude because you're not distracted by the beings of our realm and the technologies, the humans, the technologies, etc. So you can go into nature to figure that out, which raises your vibration. It's a powerful, powerful thing to have nature in your practice. And if you're trying to communicate, if you're one of those people who really wants to communicate, nature is one of those things you should really put into your practice every day if you can. Every single day. Getting outside, even just for 15 minutes. Make offerings, talk to the trees, work with nature to heal yourself, speak your truth, speak your traumas, and allow yourself to be healed. Allow yourself to experience truth, to experience the beings of another world, and trust your intuition. But work with it. Use it as a tool to raise your vibration in all those ways I've talked about, and more. There's much more you can do with nature. Much, much more, especially after you build relationships with trees and other beings. If you have any questions, please let me know. Nature is a big topic because we could go into all kinds of different segues from it. But if you have questions, let me know. Thank you for watching. I am grateful for each and every one of you, and I love you all.